Hey everybody, Saturday, I didn't lift today. I did two things. I went for a walk and then I stretched. I stretched my shoulders and then I stretched out primarily my hips. Reason why I'm making a video today is because there's been some good chat on the Exodus Strength Forum about stretching and benefits of stretching, especially amongst the population there, which happens to be guys primarily in their 40s, 50s, and even their 60s. Our bodies are like cars, we get high mileage and then things start to deteriorate, fall apart, stuff like that. Stretching helps mitigate those things. You lose cartilage as you age, and you just generally lose flexibility. You gain arthritis. I know, especially in my case, I've got a lot of joints. I've got arthritis issues. So, it's something that I see as important. One of my dogs joined me in the garage today. Maybe he'll wander back over and say hi in a minute. But, so anyhow, walking I find vastly important for cardio stuff. I'm not doing anything hard for cardio. I'm just out there. I'm getting a good bit of time in and trying to keep a decent pace. So I'm not hitting those heart rate targets that maybe some people want to hit for like HIIT and VO2 max and stuff like that. But still, I'm getting in a good bit of steps, which helps drive my basic metabolic rate and my overall calorie expenditure, which is good. And then the stretching, again, I find it important and you got to stay on top of it. With that being said, it was a funny comment that was on the forums. A lot of times we do the stretching, we get back to a spot where like, man, I feel really good. And then we stop doing it. So, and I myself guilty of this all the time. I get into a really good position in terms of feeling like my joints feel better. My lifts start improving. Everything overall just feels better. And then I back off on the stretching. It's stupid. But it's one of those things, it's like you have a limited time budget, so you just, something's got to give, and sometimes it's just that stretching because it's not forefront of mind, the importance of it. Next thing I've got here written down, because when I post these videos and I go back sometimes and I will actually watch them just to see how bad they suck so I can improve on the next time, taking notes of things like cadence of speech, how often I throw in filler words and stuff like that, trying to work on that, believe it or not, using the videos that I make as a feedback tool for myself to improve my my ability to communicate. I've got a long way to go as a redneck from Florida who has changed career paths many times in life. Speaking eloquently wasn't really a demand, but recently, or not recently, but over the last 10 years, I've gotten a lot better. And I have to present a lot of technical stuff, acoustics and things like that, things that are very boring, but I have to do so with precision. So I've gotten good in some of those technical aspects, but now I'm just trying to improve myself in terms of just overall dialogue with a camera and no one there to bounce off of. So yeah, I'm watching the videos. That gets me to this point. The algorithm, as it were, likes to then throw, hey, this is what you should watch next, or throws in advertisements, things like that. And so I get a lot of advertisements of like older men, health stuff, typically fitness over 40 kind of things, them trying to sell supplements of some type, and usually with a guy that's over 40. And let me say this, these guys are absolutely shredded, jacked, and in fantastic physical condition. And yes, I understand they're using them because that's what's going to sell the product. But what I want to make absolutely clear, in case you don't get it, in case you don't understand, or in case you think that those magic pills or supplements are going to turn you into that guy in short order, they don't. Just like a lot of things in life, the person that you're looking at in those advertisements has a gift. They have a talent, and their talent is genetic, usually. They want a genetic lottery. So that's usually my first assumption. The person just has really, really good genes. And some people just have fantastic genes for maintaining really low body fat and being able to be anabolic otherwise. So you've got some people out there that are just be shredded because their genes tell them to do so. Second one, who knows who's on what now? And this is not to knock anyone. I get the argument that's out there now, the quality versus quantity of life argument. Medical science has done a lot of great things in terms of getting people to be older. You know, my parents are right around 80. They're still persisting. They're still, independent. Things that, 20, 30, 40 years ago weren't really fathomable or not as often or didn't occur as high as frequency as we see now. So nonetheless, there's been, as we travel down this path of extending life, as it were, there is a remarkable rather, distinction of what point do we trade longevity for quality. And I think that's an important distinction. So kind of spiraling off topic, but I get the idea that quality of life is as important, if not possibly more important than quantity of life. That being said, there's a lot of things out there like these male health clinics or just endocrinologists or the people who are more than happy to put men on testosterone replacement therapy or other like estrogen blockers or even, other anabolic hormones, other stuff, right, to help them be very, very, let's say, fit. So you've got a lot of guys that are running around out there, in some cases, nearly borderline abuse. People my age that have a testosterone profile of like a 17-year-old male. So between genetics and then whatever the whatever pharmacology is in play, basically there's a lot of untruths in advertising out there. So when you see these guys absolutely shredded, buyer beware, caveat emptor kind of thing, that's not going to happen to you, the average person, in a short amount of time. Can it happen to you? Possibly. Clean diet, hard work will absolutely move the bar and build mass and get rid of fat and all those things that you want. But it's going to make you look like that jacked and shredded guy? Don't know. So again, a lot of life is managing expectations. As an adult, especially one over 40, that's one of the best things that you start to understand. That wisdom that people talk about, that is managing expectations. Figuring out what's plausible and what's not, and adjusting goals to meet those. So finally, on my post-it note of things that jibber jabber about, the hat's kind of a tribute, right, to that guy that's been around forever, a guy Scooby. And when I first saw Scooby, I thought he was kind of corny, because I was hardcore about, you got to lift to hit these numbers, and you got to have, everything should be progressive overload and all that kind. And that guy just kind of functioned on, I'll call it vibes. He's like, just kind of go do what you want. If you don't have this stuff, use this stuff, and hey, cycling is fun. Like I'm not a follower. I've seen his videos because I've been around for a long enough period of time. He's been around a long enough period of time. He's mainly a bodybuilding kind of guy, but I remember it was a video where he went on the bodybuilding, he went on stage and he got smoked. He did not do well, but kudos to him. The guy is still a big jack guy for his age. It's just, again, one of those things. He went up against, I think, people with really, really good genes, especially for maintaining low body fat. And when you're in that situation, it's just, you can't win. Anyhow, point being, I kind of, as I, he's like, I don't know how old he is right? I don't, with any precision, I think he's like 10, 15 years older than I am. But I kind of get the functioning on vibes thing now. The idea that, you should lift, you should exercise, but they should be things that you enjoy, things that you can manage, things that aren't disrupting other aspects of your life. They're not holding you back from getting other things done. You know, it's basically what you should be doing in life, right? They're all competing for the same resource, which is your time. So you should try to do your best in terms of making sure things are on a do not compete or do not interfere type of schedule or plan. All right, so having said that, circling back to the original things I talked about, make sure that as you're out there and you're doing your, you know, if you're doing barbell training, make sure you're also incorporating some sort of cardio. Absolutely important. You can do cardio concurrent with your barbell training. Just it all has to balance. And so if you are training hard barbell wise, sure, maybe you shouldn't be running and sprinting, but you can still do a lot of walking. Walking does take more time, but it's not going to beat you up. It's not going to steal away from your gains. In fact, in some cases, maintaining a better cardio baseline is going to help you with your gains, because guess what? The thing that pumps the blood around to help all those other things move around through your body, that needs exercise too. And it's not getting much of it when you're doing sets of 5, even 10. All right. And the other thing, stretching. Yeah, it's good. It's important. There have been studies recently. I think I talked about this in another video. There have been studies that show that stretching can actually support hypertrophy, potentially. I don't think it's really well sussed out now. I think it was like a meta study, kind of study of studies kind of situation. But it's not, think about it like anything else. If you're doing stretching and you feel, oh wow, I feel this burn or sensation in my muscle, you're doing, there's a stimulus in play. So it's gonna elicit some sort of response from your body. So it's doing something. And then if it's helping also, you know, clear out inflammation in your joints and help with overall general mobility and flexibility, how is that harmful to your lifting? It's not. I think a lot of the stuff that's been out there for a while in terms of stretching getting in the way of barbell training or other sorts of training is because, one, and this has pissed me off for a long period of time. Every one of those studies that's been out there that's been, oh, stretching interferes with training. Yeah, because they took this stretching and they stacked it right on top of the training block. Oh, you got one liver that stores a finite amount of glycogen, and then your body, then also your muscles store a finite amount of ATP. All the stuff that the biochemistry, the biology that's in your body is finite and fixed, and it needs time to recover. Some T times E to the little t kind of thing, right? There's a function that's going to describe how quickly your body can recover from depleting those finite stores. So when you see a study that says, okay, go stretch for 20, 30 minutes and then go barbell train, that's one group. And the control group is, okay, go barbell train, and we're going to look at a 6-week study. And oh, guess what? Surprise, the guys that only barbell trained for 6 weeks, they had better gains than guys who did stretching and barbell training. Yeah, no shit. Because the guys that were doing the stretching ahead of time depleted their stores, and some of what they were doing was going towards a different skill, as it were, the skill of flexibility. So it's like, yeah, it's going to interfere with your gains, but that's because you're stacking it right in the same time slot as the training. Differentiate it, put it on a different day or different time of day when your body has resources available to support that and completely separated from the training. And I guarantee you they're not going to compete, or the overlap is minimized when you do something like that. So stretching is important. It's good to do. Keep doing it. And maybe one other takeaway from that rant there, when you're reading any of those studies that's trying to either effectively, in my opinion, either prove or disprove bro science, or the empiricism that's already existed in the gym, the observed data, the anecdotal data that we're now trying to suss out what's real and what's not. But whenever you see those studies that are trying to prove or disprove bro science, which that's one of them, view things in the proper context. Think about things critically. Think about something like, if I was dedicating time to stretching, would I put it directly adjacent to a barbell training block? I don't think so. Now, if I were stretching and I was going to do calisthenics, or I was going to do some sort of jumping, sprinting, like would I put those adjacent? Possibly, right? Because the muscles, especially using an explosive situation, they need to be warmed up before you just go out and start sprinting. Do those interfere? Typically, no, right? One directly supports the other in terms of display of skill, but neither one is a big draw on the energetic systems in the body. So anyhow, when you're reading studies, if you're reading studies, and they are trying to prove or disprove bro science, again, frame those in the context of what makes sense and how would you actually do these things in real life, vice them doing these studies in a laboratory situation. All right, it's enough from me. It's Saturday. Hope everyone's having a great weekend, and I will talk to you later. Peace. A little tag, coda, if it were, to put to the video I'm going to post today. You can see here, I shot this last video on an iPad, and the only reason why I mention it is because I picked this thing up dirt cheap. Well, not dirt cheap, but I picked it up at Walmart. It's a 2024 model, 13-inch M2 processor, iPad Air. Got it for $5.99. So any of you folks out there looking for a big old iPad, you can kind of see it there next to the tools in my workbench here. Yeah, it's a nice thing to have. It just used on a recent trip I was on, and it's nice to watch stuff on a full-size screen instead of a phone when you're on the plane. And it does make it a little bit better when I'm shooting videos in terms of if I want to see myself while I'm shooting a video, so I can make sure I don't look like a complete idiot. All right. Peace.